Hello, unforgettable vocalist. My name's Gerald, and you are listening to the Reclaim Your Voice podcast, where we get to set the stage for your voice to be at its greatest potential. This is the place where we help you to take your singing from being unsure to being unforgettable. We give you the tools to help you stop losing your voice, break your bad singing habits, and find your true sound. This podcast is for you if you are singing every week, but you lose your voice after you're finished. If you're trying to be better at singing, but you're plateauing in your practice and not getting better, and if you've struggled with building your own confidence in your own voice and you aren't quite sure how you'll be able to hit the goals you have for your music, and lastly, if you secretly believe that you can't sing, this podcast is for you. I'm so happy to be talking to you guys today again, and it's on a topic that I'm very passionate about. Of course, all the topics that we talk about on the Reclaim Your Voice podcast is important to me, but I wanted to talk a little bit again about copying. In the past, we've talked about mimicking vocal technique, and we talked about the dangers of that, but I want, and you should of course go back and listen to that episode, but I wanted to talk to you guys today about why copying vocal creativity holds you back. It's interesting because a lot of our culture today is actually built on copying. Like if you look at things like short form content, like say TikTok, you'll see someone that comes up with a trend, and then you'll see a myriad of people that are copying the same trend, whether it's a dance, whether it's I don't know, even like there's a lot of vocal, TikTok trends. There's just a whole bunch of trends that are on social media that, everybody jumps on, and everybody gets really good at learning somebody else's creativity. But what happens is that, especially for someone who say goes viral off of creating a trend, a lot of people can get stuck in the copying, and they never learn how to actually create for themselves. And the same thing applies to singing. Like when it comes to, whether it's a vocal run that's really popular or whether it's a style of singing that's really popular, I find nowadays that it's very rare you're going to find somebody that's actually being truly original to themselves and their sound, at least when it comes to, a lot of singers that are on social media. And I wanted to talk to you today about why copying and remaining at copying is holding you back. So the first point I have on that is that copying is great for learning. Like when, a baby starts to try to talk, what they're doing is they're trying to copy their parents or whoever is around them that is talking around them. And so, a baby can learn a language, a baby can learn how to walk or how to do things naturally just by looking and seeing their parents and copying what they are doing. And even specifically in talking, they're making sounds goo gaga, to try to make sound, and eventually they create sound. And that's how we learn how to sing. We copy other people that we've absolutely loved, that we revere, and we start copying what they do. But when it comes to actually being an unforgettable vocalist, somebody that consistently makes impact on the heart of somebody that listens to them, copying is only half the battle. Like there's a point in our process as a singer where we have to not just learn how to copy someone else, how to learn a vocal run, or how to learn someone else's style, but actually to create our own style. And the thing is, there are so many wonderful things that make up what we like and who we are as a singer. But it's not until we start creating our own sound that we actually start to hear what those originalities are. And there's a lot of people that are right now stuck in doing TikTok trends because they don't actually know what their own sound is. And so thus, copying is only half the battle. We have to go to creation. My second point on this is that copying conforms your voice to a package that was created with another voice in mind, and it leaves your own understanding of your voice underdeveloped. The wonderful thing about creation now, if we're talking about copying versus creation is something that happens within the parameters of what a person is capable of or what a singer is capable of. So if I'm talking about, let's say, Jessie J, wonderful singer, a lot of the things that she does work around her vocal build or the way that her voice is built. And we've talked a little bit about that in vocal use versus vocal build. But because Jessie J knows her voice, she's able to create using the voice that she has. And she's able to take the beauties of her voice and, hype them up, put them in the forefront, especially with songwriting. As a songwriter, Jessie J puts all of these opportunities for her creativity to be seen, or the best parts of her voice to be seen, because she's writing her songs around them. Now, when it comes to us actually copying people, like you say, if I were to copy Jessie J, especially as a male singer versus a female singer, there's a lot of things that are in my voice that I'm leaving out when I'm trying to copy what Jessie J does. Like, she has an enormous belting range, and she goes up into the highs and the highs of her voice. But for me, one of my strengths is that I have a lower register, right? And Jessie J doesn't necessarily go into the lowest of the lows when it comes to her lower register. Who knows? It may even be a part of her voice that is weaker. But because I'm listening to her music and copying her, I'm only going according to her strengths and not my own. And I'm not discovering what my own voice can do, right? So a lot of us are stuck in the world of copying. We're looking at everybody else's strengths and even comparing ourselves to the strengths of others while not discovering our own strengths because we're not creating our own original sound. And that's songwriting, but it also comes into the way that we sing. There's ways that we can improvise a song that can actually bring out the best parts of our voices. But because we're spending so much time copying, listening to a run and trying to get it, but never graduating to creating our own, we don't discover what those strengths are. That's the second point. The third thing that I have about copying is that copying vocal creativity will only teach you how to copy. And until you begin creating your original sound with your voice, you will never know what you actually sound like. And this is kind of like a branch off of the second point. If you only ever copy, you never will know the beauty of what it is to create. You won't know what your voice is like when you're on a roll in terms of creativity or improvising. You won't know what it is to actually hear somebody respond to something that is you vocally. You won't even know what it's like to look at yourself and be like, oh my gosh, I sang that really well. Now, if we nail something technique wise, if we recreate a moment, it can feel like, oh my gosh, I just nailed it. But what you did is you just nailed it in copying someone else. And again, as you're building skills, right? Copying someone else isn't necessarily a terrible thing. But if you're looking to actually make impact, right? There's got to be there's got to be a point where we bring in originality into it. And this goes into my fourth point, right? Your story, when it's communicated originally and authentically, gives people the potential to connect with you. Because here's the thing. Whenever and this is part of the reason why TikTok does it, where it's like, when someone when there is a trend, you want to find out where that trend came from. Well, hopefully, especially those of us that have a higher education, are used to looking for sources. We want to know what the source is, right? We want to know where that trend came from. And there's a whole bunch of nuances I could talk about here. But thankfully, on the TikTok trends page, when you click on a sound or whatever, you get to see who the original creator was. And when you get to see the original creator, you get to start to connect with what they were intending for their art. Now you can connect with a copy. You can connect with a copy, but the thing is, you're not connecting with the person that's copying. You're connecting with what was copied. And if all you ever do is copy, people are going to connect with what you do, but they'll never connect with you. I'll say it again because that was a preach, right? If you only ever copy, people will only ever connect with your work and what you do, and they will never connect with you. And because your voice is a part of you, you want to be able to allow your voice to be an extension of you and of what you have to say in the world. If all you're ever doing is saying what other people have said, and you don't have something to say of your own, or you're only singing what other people have sung, right? And you don't ever sing your own song, so to speak, in terms of songwriting, but also in terms of style, in terms of improvisation, people won't connect with you. In fact, it will also sometimes even come off inauthentic, where it's like people hear you and like, oh my gosh, you sound so much like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's like there was nothing that ever came out of your understanding of the art of singing. You never gave something that people could connect to. And that's the thing. Like, everyone's story deserves to be told. If you're a singer, your story, what you've gone through, and the way that you tell it deserves to be heard. But again, if we only stop at copying, that stuff will never be heard, and people won't connect with you. They'll connect with what you do. The difference between the two, often a lot of people don't discover that people were actually connecting with what they do until they spent years copying, and then they realize, they look at their backlog and they're like, what did I do? The regret there is very, very intense. It's very intense. And I don't want you to have to deal with that, right? And that's why we're talking about it. Because the thing is, and this is my next point, authenticity, true authenticity, will always outlive the ups and downs of trend. It's because you're so busy being yourself. A lot of people are so bent on having a viral moment that they'll, get caught up in, doing all of these trends and et cetera, so forth, trying to find popularity when what they're actually looking for is true originality. They're looking for themselves to be heard. I'm almost willing to bet that a lot of the people that are looking to actually go viral are simply people that are looking to have their story understood. And in our quest for virality, sometimes we can actually leave our actual quest to express ourselves. The two are actually they can be on different paths. If you're creating on your own, creating new things, a lot of people eventually will find that you go viral, etc., so forth. Yay, amazing. And virality isn't the mark of actual impact, but that's another thing, right? But for people that chase virality, often yourself, who you are, can fall off in pieces, and you find yourself trying to chase something that you aren't, right? And you leave who you actually were behind. So even bringing this back to singing right now, you have to sing authentically, right? We're not even talking about songwriting here, but it comes into play here as well. If you never sing something that is from your own psyche, your own world, your own understanding of things, and if you don't know how to sing other people's words through that lens of your own understanding of things, you will sing and feel unheard. You will make lots of noise and you will still feel like you didn't say anything. And like we were saying before, people are connecting, with how impressed they are that you were able to do justice to, a certain song, etc., so forth, but they don't connect with you. And that's the thing. And we've talked a little bit about celebrity not being enough. As the years go by, as decades go by, the trends are going to be forgotten. I promise you. And the people that will actually make legacy and will make impact are the people that actually understood who they were, understand the people that they were supposed to sing to and to talk to, and they authentically sang and authentically gave of themselves in their song. And that's literally what I help people to do. Like, I help people to find what their sound is, take all of their likes and come up with a sound. And even for those of us that don't necessarily have an understanding of what our sound is, because we're still trying to even figure out how to copy and how to actually emulate some of our favorite singers and how to use our own voice, that's what I'm here to do as well. So if this is something that's resonating with you, I actually want you to get on a call with me, on a voice breakthrough call with me. And I want us to talk through the things that have been holding you back in your singing. And what I want us to do is to actually create a plan to actually see you sing authentically, because there are people that are waiting to connect with you. A lot of people think that, oh, woe is me, I'm not really, anybody that's special, right? You actually are. And there are actually wonderful things that you're supposed to be saying through your song and through your singing that will never be said if you never give yourself the permission to actually chase the dream. And a lot of people, because they're caught up in their jobs, because they're caught up in raising their families, get caught up in all of that stuff and never give themselves the chance to actually chase the dream. And they get to 65, 70 years old and they look back at their life and they regret not ever having realized the dream. I don't want that to be you. So I want you to book a call at reclaimyourvoice.ca/call. And I want us to actually have a conversation. That's reclaimyourvoice.ca/call. Let's have a conversation. If you really enjoyed this podcast, I definitely want you to 5-star it wherever you are. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Yeah, let's just continue to have that conversation. Don't stop at copying. Let's get to creating. Okay, everybody? All right. See y'all in another video, or you'll hear me on another podcast. Okay. Bye.